Welcome back. We're here to talk about Saturday evening's huge Premier League clash between Manchester United and Liverpool at Old Trafford. We'll start with the host Pascal and their bizarre dealings on deadline day.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, De Gea to start with, really just so odd the way the whole situation worked out because, I think, if you're going to sell him and, you know Real Madrid have been interested all summer long, why not just say to them, in July, that this is the price we want, take it or leave it now because we're not going to budge on it till August. I'm sure they probably did try something like that, but you've got to try and force it better. Surely you have to. You can't leave it, and so it's just this complete mess on deadline day where you then suddenly agree to the deal and then the paperwork, falls apart. I'm not sure, Madrid said it was United's fault, United said it was Madrid's fault. It's just so bad why leave it until the 11th hour like that? It just makes no sense at all for me, especially when you've been leaving him out of the squad and you know that he clearly obviously wants to go if you've been leaving him out of the squad. It's not like a player, say I know John Stones, if you compare it to that, how he supposedly wrote this transfer request that he might not have meant, but even then he's still playing for the team and playing really well for Everton. De Gea's obviously not got that frame of mind where he could really still do it for United, but now he is there and I think if they got Keylor Navas as part of the deal, that would have been a really good deal because I think he's a good goalkeeper, Navas, and certainly would have been a decent replacement. But it didn't go through, and now he's there, and now he's got to play because if he doesn't, he'll lose his place in the Spain squad. United are hoping that they can sort of leverage him staying now with a new contract. It's all gone really badly for them. And then you look at the player they brought in, Martial, 36 million or whatever it was on a teenager who's hasn't played that many games in his career, and you think. It's 36 million is a lot. I thought 60 for Di Maria last year. I thought that even though that's so much more money, he was one of the best players in the world at the time. And you look at 36 for a guy who not many people have really heard of, to be honest. And you think he's not going to be the sort of player that's going to be, starting all the time for them at the moment. He's going to be kind of, bred and hopefully he'll sort of come to the fore a bit. But all that money on him on deadline day just felt a bit desperate when you probably say they didn't need a player like that, and it's just a really bad day for them. I thought, the whole De Gea thing, and it just didn't work out at all.
Yeah, for me, Martial smacks of a panic buy a bit from them. I think their troubles in front of goal in the first few games of the season, they needed a striker. Martial's not really an out-and-out striker either, so to spend that much money on a 19-year-old, I think he's only played about 54 professional games of football in his life, so the £36 million that we spent on him, it's a ludicrous sum of money, to be honest. But he's been linked to Thierry Henry. If he turns out to be half the player Henry does, then it will turn out to be a good piece of business for Manchester United. But at this moment in time, it just seems so much money, and there's so much pressure on him now. I'd be surprised if he starts this weekend. I think he might come off the bench. It'll certainly be a baptism of fire against Liverpool in such a big derby match. But yeah, a lot of money to spend on someone who's very unproven at the moment. As I say, they probably bought potential rather than actual ability right now, and time will tell if he's worth it, but it is a lot of money. I think the match against Swansea may have panicked them a bit more into buying a striker because 2-1 that one, they lost that one, a third consecutive loss to Swansea. Rooney started up front again in that game, and again he just wasn't really at the races. He's obviously broken the record now for England, which should give him a big confidence boost, but we thought he'd get a confidence boost after that hat-trick against Club Brugge. Leading the line, he just hasn't really performed well enough this season. Talk of him moving back to number 10 role, he's probably better in that role, but even in number 9, he's a good striker. He's scored plenty of goals down the years. He's got Manchester United's goal scoring record in his eyes now that he's broken Charlton's England one, so he should be able to get the goals. Whether the likes of De Gea and Martial start this weekend will be interesting, but the De Gea question again was raised after Romero's mistake against Swansea. Just a really disappointing result. It was the first defeat of the season, to be fair to them, the first goals conceded of the season in the Premier League, so we shouldn't be panicking about their chances just yet because they have started the season fairly solidly, but it was a really poor result for them, especially to blow a lead like they did.
And I think they've got a really big month coming up now. This game, obviously at home to Liverpool, is one of their biggest games of the season. Then 3 of their next 4 in the league are away from home at Southampton, Everton and Arsenal. So that's a really, really tough month for them. And throw into that the fact they've got Champions League group stages starting as well. I mean, they did get a pretty favourable draw in the Champions League compared to when you say like City got Juventus, Arsenal got Bayern. So they did get a decent draw, but all that European football coming back as well. And I think we talked there about their sort of a tough away games coming up, but they've been sort of a bit dodgy at home recently as well because they've only won one of their last 4 Premier League games at home. That was the one against Spurs on the opening day when they were far from convincing in that one, and they certainly need to improve their home form because before that they'd won 6 in a row at home at Old Trafford last season. They were brilliant for the most part, but they've started this season fairly slowly at home, so that's one area they've got to put right. In the tough away games coming up, the Champions League, it looks like a really, really difficult month for them coming up.
Yeah, obviously this is the biggest of the lot, probably United versus Liverpool. United will hope, obviously they lost last time out, Liverpool lost their first game of the season last time out in even worse circumstances really, at home to West Ham, who they haven't lost to in, I think it was 52 years or something like that, since the days of Martin Peters and Jeff Hurst for West Ham, to lose 3-0 at home. And West Ham, they started obviously well against Arsenal, but then they lost against two teams they probably would have expected to beat. So for Liverpool, unbeaten up to that stage, hadn't conceded up to that stage, to lose so convincingly 3-0 at home, such a disappointing result. Obviously, Coutinho getting sent off only exacerbated that situation. Personally, I think that was a bit of a harsh ending off. I think he just got outdone by a bit of skill on the by Payet on the turn on the second yellow card. There was no malice involved. I think he could have. You can see why the ref gave a second yellow card, but I think the ref could have applied a bit of common sense there and easily let him get away with it. But yeah, a really disappointing result. Liverpool will be desperate to bounce back. That obviously came at home. They've been decent away from home. They gave Arsenal a really good game, 0-0 in the end at the Emirates, and they'll be hoping to reach those levels again against Manchester United. If they can create those chances, they can cause a few problems for United, I think.
So they've been decent away from home, but if you look at the record, it's only one win in 7 Premier League away games. That was the one on the opening day at Stoke where they weren't at their best. It was that Coutinho brilliant goal that settled it for them, and before that they'd won 5 of 6 away from home. So they've certainly sort of slacked away from home a bit. And you look at their deadline day, they didn't really do anything. They haven't actually signed anyone since Benteke, so it's been a fairly quiet window. They lost Barini to Sunderland. That was about it really, sort of in the final few days of the window. But they were hoping, sort of mentioned Benteke, he's scored in his last 2 against United for Villa, so they'll certainly hope that he can have a good game. But I think Coutinho suspended obviously after that red card. I think he could be a big loss for them. So I think the way it's going for Liverpool, that obviously, like you say, it was a worse. I know they both suffered their first defeats, but the one to West Ham certainly felt worse than the one to Swansea for United, because Swansea, have been really good at the start of the season. So interesting game.
Yeah, which way do you see it going?
I'm gonna have to back the home side. I think I like Liverpool. That defeat to West Ham really surprising. I know you could probably argue that the international break's come at a good time, give them 2 weeks off after that break, but I think United, I'm just going to pick them to win this 1-2-1.
I think a lot depends on whether De Gea starts for United. Obviously, in the fixture last season between United and Liverpool, United won 3-0, but for De Gea it could have been 3-3 quite comfortably. He saved a lot of chances. If he does start, is his head going to be in the right place? There's a lot of questions over this one. A lot will depend on the team sheets and how both teams bounce back. Personally, I think I'm going to go for a draw in this one. I can see a few goals despite a decent clean sheet record at the start of the season for both sides. I think I'm going to go for 2-2. So we're going for 1 draw and a Manchester United victory. Thanks for watching.